Well, the eyes of the world are on the Middle East this morning again, with the ceasefire between Gaza and Israel in doubt.
For more, we are joined by retired Air Force Special Ops Commander Major Glenn Ignazio live from Arizona. Glenn, thanks so much for your time this morning. So Benjamin Netanyahu now says Israel is being blackmailed by Hamas. Is he refusing to ratify the ceasefire? Will this eventuate?
Well, he's holding the vote, or the cabinet calling together to ratify that, and the reason for it is because Hamas, in the sort of the last minute here, said that they wanted to have much more control and influence of what Palestinian prisoners are going to be released from Israel. And it's pretty interesting because, it's like a 22-1 ratio, one, hostage being released for 20 Palestinian prisoners. So that's really thrown things in the twist into things. And he's just holding off on pulling the cabinet together until this gets settled down. So, yeah, before they're about to pull the trigger on it and make it happen in Sunday, there's a pause in it, and hopefully they can get through it.
All right, let's see what happens logistically. I mean, this hostage exchange, it'll be really interesting to see how that unfolds from your perspective, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the beginning here, the whole idea is that they're going to release about 3 or 4 hostages and then, release even more each week. And at that time, the Israeli military is supposed to pull back from some of the occupied areas so that people, or at least the denser populated areas, so that more of the Palestinian people can get back into their homes and so forth. In addition to that, this would be an incredibly increase of getting some of those supplies back into Gaza, which is greatly needed. The other interesting part, and you see the U.S. politics and a lot of playing out between Biden and Trump, is there are the U.S. hostages sort of at the top of that list. So we don't know if that's been some political impact from here in the United States or not. But like I said, the biggest thing is that this pushes forward to at least some agreement to get hostages home and put an end to this conflict after 400 or 500 days.
That's right. Good
on you, Glenn.
Thank you.
Glenn. Well, for families and hostages, it's the latest twist in a heartbreaking ordeal. For more, we are joined by Udi Gorwan, whose cousin was kidnapped and killed by Hamas. Udi, we're so sorry for your loss. No doubt your family is still feeling this so terribly. How are you reacting to the news?
Thank you. First, I'd like to mention he was actually first killed and then kidnapped. Just so you're aware of the tragedy we've been carrying with us since October 7th. And as for the news, first, I'd like to let you know that it seems like, at least in the news coming out in Israel, that the recent problem has been solved. And right now it seems they're moving forward with the deal, which, I find it with mixed emotions. On the one hand, some of the people that are supposed to be released, maybe even in the upcoming days, their parents, their siblings, their daughters and wives are people that I see every day. They're my extended family, and obviously the thought of them getting their loved ones back, of getting their lives back, there's nothing I would like to see more than that. On the other hand, my cousin will not be back at this part of the deal because right now they're only talking about the first 33 hostages. And that means that my biggest challenge, or our biggest challenge, the hostage families that will still remain, is to realize and make the world realize that this is just the first step towards a solution that brings everybody back home. And we need to make sure it goes all the way through until all 98 hostages are back home.
It seems like, just finally, a very fragile ceasefire that has been agreed to. Do you have confidence that you will be able to mourn in the way that you want to, and to have your cousin's remains come home?
No, I don't. At the end of the day, the two parties involved here have zero trust in each other. We're just past 15 months of intense war. And I want to make sure everybody remembers, on the other side of the fence, the people we are dealing with, not the Gazan civilians, but Hamas, is a terrorist organization that not only aims to hurt Israel as much as possible, it's a terrorist organization also inwards the way they treat their own people. And therefore, I think that unfortunately, there's no certainty. And this is where, going into this deal now, realizing, hopefully finalizing and seeing the first step go in, I believe we needed the American administration to put their foot down and make sure this happens before the upcoming inauguration. But to see this come all the way through and not fall back and not get dumped along the way, we would need everybody involved, the mediators, our allies, obviously the US government, the EU that would be a part of the day after and the reconstruction of Gaza, and really every party that has anything to do with this deal would have to make sure that both parties, Israel and Hamas, go all the way through.
Right. It's an ominous warning from you, mate. I'm sorry for all the pain you're going through. I wish you all the very best.
A potential ceasefire in the Middle East has hit some new hurdles this hour. Israel's Minister of National Security just moments ago calling the hostage trade pact terrible and threatening to resign if it goes ahead.
I will again call upon the Prime Minister, and I told him that in our conversation, please do not take us backwards. Stop this terrible deal and take steps that really will lead to the release of the hostages and to victory in this war.
Let's bring in our Europe correspondent, Hannah Sinclair in London. Hannah, US leaders are confident, though, that this ceasefire deal will still go ahead.
Yes, Jane, that's right. They are confident, but as you just heard there, Israel's government certainly seems divided over this deal, and the latest from local media reports is that the Israeli cabinet will vote on the deal tomorrow, and if approved, it will go ahead as planned on Sunday. There's been mixed messages all day. Earlier on, the office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was claiming Hamas was reneging on parts of the deal, so the vote was delayed. It was supposed to happen today, but they've delayed it until tomorrow. Last night, there were scenes of celebration and elation in Gaza as Palestinians celebrated this war potentially coming to an end. But for the families of the hostages, the deal's been met with mixed reactions. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken also has been heckled as he delivered remarks about the ceasefire deal. Take a look.
Are you compromised by Israel? Why did you allow the Holocaust of our time to happen? How does it feel to have your legacy be genocide? How does it feel to have your legacy be genocide?
On the ceasefire, yes, I am confident, and I fully expect that implementation will begin, as we said, on Sunday.
Right now, it seems they're moving forward with the deal, which, I find it with mixed emotions. On the one hand, some of the people that are supposed to be released, maybe even in the upcoming days, we need to make sure it goes all the way through until all 98 hostages are back home.
In the hours since the ceasefire deal has been announced, Gaza's health ministry claims at least 72 people have been killed by Israeli airstrikes. Hamas claims one of the locations hit is where a female hostage is being held, and Hamas claims it remains committed to the agreement. Jane?
Hannah, thank you.